Hey everyone, welcome to Race Speed. I am Matt. This is my 2015 Roush Stage 1 EcoBoost Mustang. Roush Performance, baby. So, if you're new to the channel, hit that red subscribe button, notification bell, and at the end, if you dig the video, give it a big thumbs up and share it with a friend. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down and feel free to tell me why. But at least get out in the comments and let me know what you think of what's happened recently with the car. And what we're doing today is fuel pressure sensor. Ooh. Yeah, everyone's been bugging me. Have you done this yet? You need to do this. Well, this is my second motor. I probably should have did it a long time ago. Adam Brunson from Tune Plus figured out a while ago that these sensors can go bad, cause you to get some bad readings and eco boom. So I don't want that to happen. I'm going to take the 5 minutes or whatever and change this thing out. I also did some recent modifications I want to take you guys inside the car for, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, let's get right to it. Alright guys, our sensor is located right up here. You just need to push in on this little gray tab. You see the tongue pull up there. Before you disconnect the sensor, make sure you put something underneath to catch any fuel that may drip down or spray out. So I'm just going to kind of line it here like so. Give it a little bit of a catch area. That way when I pull it off, I can flip this on over. So we're going to take the 12 mil, just stick it on there. That's just going to hold this in place so we don't strip out the threads. If I strip out the threads, I'm not going anywhere this weekend. So, yeah. I'm going to push this away from me. I should probably get a little bit of a squirt once I loosen it. Just don't want to break it, so I'm being careful here. There we go. Now that I've got it disconnected, cover this up. Just try not to get gas everywhere. Okay. Sensor out. So, see, that's a BA. BA is what you do not want. You want to pull that out. I didn't have any problems with this one. Never had any signs of any failure. But we'll go ahead and pull it out anyways. Alright, now here is our new sensor. See at the end it says CA. But whatever, something on this sensor changed, needs to be replaced, so it is what it is. Real easy, same thing, just put it on and don't cross thread it or anything. Tighten it by hand. As tight as you can though. Then get your wrench back on there. Now we're going to pull it towards us. Just a little tug on it. Not going to break anything. Or enough that you can't just twist it off with your finger. Now we can go ahead and pull this out of there. Reconnect this. Make sure it's snapped in all the way and that you can't pull it off, you can't turn this thing at all. Now we need to prime the system, so go ahead and disconnect this. So that way it's not reading off that. And what we'll do now is we'll cycle the engine. We'll do it 3 or 4 times and make sure there's no fuel left in the system. Once it's all purged out, we'll be able to plug that in and be ready to rock. yeah, this little part can cause this thing to blow up. So $25 part. Took me 5 minutes to take care of, not a big deal. I definitely recommend doing it if you have an EcoBoost Mustang. I will put a link down in the description to the part. You can buy it from CJ's directly, and yeah, worked out really well. Definitely can smell some gas in there. This one worked without any issues. I didn't have any problems with it. Never gave me any readings in the bad sector like everyone says. So yeah, precautionary thing though. Can't afford for this one to blow up. It just is what it is. And again, the second motor, I had to pay for the first one that blew up. Maybe it was this sensor that caused it. You know, I don't know if this thing even got changed out, you know, after the motor blew up. I'm assuming they did. They probably had to have changed all that, but maybe not. This could be the original one, but if that's the case, then this wouldn't have been the cause of it because it was still working and in good condition. No issues. So precautionary modification, I guess you can call it, or upgrade, change out, waste of money. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it protects me. And we're going to go ahead and move on now to the next part of the video. I'm going to get you guys inside the RS1. I'm going to pull her outside, and we're going to go ahead and do a little internal review on some new stuff that I got. Alright, shooting the second half of this video a couple days later, things came up, and I need to do it now. So I just got the car back from the dealership, did a transmission flush on it because it was actually shifting kind of slow, and everything got overheated at the last track event. So all fluids are getting changed out before the next event, but I wanted to do the transmission fluids. It had not been done ever on the car. It's an automatic. Usually don't do it until well over 100,000 miles, but if you track it and beat the crap out of it like I do, you may want to consider doing it every year, maybe every 2 years. So I'm going to see how this goes, see how long this lasts, and kind of pace it out, and I'll be able to feel again when it was just not shifting as crisp. Right now, downshifts, upshift, everything is really, really crisp and smooth. But let's go ahead and get inside, show you what I've done. All right, so we're starting out here with the Corbeau seats. These are the FX1s. Now these are a fixed back, so I mean there's no recliner option, just a plastic here, but it's very strong and durable. The padding is, you know, decent. You know, I am a little worried that this is going to wear out if I'm just kind of sliding my butt over this all the time and catching my pants on. That's all going to wear out. So I got to make sure I just kind of get in and just kind of plop down, don't wear them out. But other than that, they look really good. They match the whole theme of the car, you know, the black, red, white. So really nice. I plan to get harnesses at some point, but for now, using the lap belt is okay, or the shoulder belt. Bam. And you can just pull these off of your old seat, mount them right on the bracket. So there's a specific bracket for these. So get that. You can pull it up and back and forth with the lever down here. But other than that, no other adjustments. You know, I got heated, cooled options over here, but they no longer work. But I don't know, maybe I could put the stock seat back in and just kind of bolt this back there somewhere so it doesn't fly around. Take my long trips to the track and actually have comfort still. These are, again, the Corbeau FX1s from CJ Pony Parts with the proper rail, and real good deal. I'll put a link down in the description for those. I definitely recommend if you're doing any type of high performance driving. You know, I have done tons of track days, and they're on the stock leather seats that came with the car. They don't offer a whole lot of bolstering or support, and I slid all over the place. It was definitely at the point where this car was pulling so many G's, and I was so sideways in my seat all the time that it really was affecting my lap times. These made a big difference at the last weekend race, and I can't wait to get harnesses and stuff because I know it's really going to keep me planted. But until I get a Hans device and all that kind of stuff, I'm not going to run the harness. But I do have one right now, but I actually want to get a different style, and I'll probably get that for the other seat as well. But these are going to stay in here because on the street I'm going to keep wearing that. Don't feel comfortable wearing a harness. It's just not, you're not supposed to do it on the street anyway. So let's go ahead and check out the roll cage though. I know you guys can see a little bit of it back here. This is the Watson 4-point bolt-in, but let's go ahead and take a look from the back. This was a decently difficult installation. You know, it's something I tried by myself, and I was able to get the main bar in. So all this stuff was gutted already, but I was able to get the main bar in by myself, had that all bolted up, had the legs on. But in order to get underneath, get all the holes drilled, get the brackets mounted, all that kind of stuff, that does take 2 people to get everything lined up properly. We had a little bit of an issue on this one, kind of drilled in the wrong place a little bit, but we fixed it, and then this one we were able to do with no problem. So having help, having a lift and a buddy is probably very, very helpful. I would not recommend trying to do this by yourself on jack and jack stands. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's probably going to take you a really long time and be extremely frustrating. So pay someone to do it. If you're in the Michigan area, you can just go right to Watson Racing. Those guys can install it right there for you. You just got to make an appointment. They're busy people, so be patient with them. This is quality stuff, though, and you just can't beat it. All right, now, so last track weekend was really bad because it was really hot. And the seat did get hot, but it wasn't that terrible that I think, you know, that I wanted to do something different. It wasn't the same as being able to turn on the cooled option while I'm sitting, you know, waiting to go out, you know, sitting on grid and everything, but it wasn't too bad. Again, they kept me really planted, and that was the important part. The roll bar stiffened this car up so much that I need to adjust my rear sway bar, at least. I mean, the front's probably still okay where it's at, but my rear sway bar is definitely too tight now, and hitting some of the curbing, it kind of upset the car a little bit, but not enough that, you know, I needed to stop doing that. So it's in there real good, and definitely tightening things up. So I got to get these wheels off, get her up in the air, just disconnect a couple the links real quick, and move it up and bolt it back down, and she should be good to go. So I'm going to actually be out at M1 Concourse this weekend, Sunday, July 15th, for an open track day. Do some video and stuff there. So if you happen to be in the neighborhood, I think you can come by and watch for like $5. Make sure you go ahead and, you know, contact me through Instagram or email or something like that. Let me know you're coming. If you want to check out the RS1, usually you can get on the paddock and check everything out. But other than that, you'll be able to see me flying around the track, and we'll get some videos made of that. See how some of the other adjustments with the car go. Again, with the new fuel sensor and the transmission flush, you know, it should be in much better shape. Hopefully it runs better, but it's going to be a really, really hot weekend again, and I haven't done anything for the cooling. So we'll have to see. I got some options on the table, but I just won't have time to put any of those options into play. So it is what it is, and she's going to be hot again. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, because there's tons more content for the car already on the channel. Lots more stuff coming. Have a lot more track days. So yeah, stay tuned. See you guys. Thanks for watching.